Hello everyone, welcome back again to Selenium WebDriver with Java, September 2025 batch, season 10. In today's session, I will start with the framework part. And first, I will cover what is automation testing framework, what are the automation testing process, and like whatever Java ops concept you actually learned in Java, how we can actually implement in the real-time framework, the top 10 test automation framework available in the market, and data-driven framework in Selenium, and how we can read the data from the Excel file with the help of the Apache POI. Writing part, reading and writing, I will cover in the next session so that you will be getting more and more idea. And other framework like keyword-driven framework and hybrid framework, I will cover in session 11. And the last two sessions I will be covering on the BDD with Cucumber part. So let's start with the framework part. So first we need to understand what is framework. So as of now, we already learned Java, we already learned Selenium WebDriver standalone part. We also learned the testng, which is default, like, or maybe the another framework or built-in framework, like, which is supporting. But still, like if the testng, using testng, unless we are using any framework concept, maybe it is very tough for us to doing real-time automation for big project or like more test cases. So we need to follow some framework structure. Definitely, we'll be using testng, there is no doubt, but still we need to use some process or standard or the concept of the framework. So test automation framework is a structured set of guidelines, tools and practice that provide a systematic approach for creating, executing and maintaining automated test case. It standardizes the testing process by defining rules for test script, managing test data, and reporting result, which led to increased efficiency, reusability, and accuracy in software testing. So maybe couple of slide might be like descriptive, but all the slide is very important to clear your understanding. And in case you are going for some project interview or other interview, those will really help you, because those concepts somebody will be definitely asking you. And in case you are not having the proper concept, it will be very tough, like to deep dive into the framework and also to crack the interview or clear the interview. So in any test automation project, user do perform different tasks by using different type of files. To organize and manage all the files and to finish all the tasks in systematic approach, user need to use a framework. So that is the concept of framework. Automation framework is not a single tool or process, but it is a collection of tools and processes working together to support automated testing of any application. It integrates various functions like libraries, test data, and various other reusable modules or components. So without a framework, a single test case have a million lines of code, and it will test the entire functionality of the application. Now, suppose user need to modify any functionality later time. So is it possible to read the entire millions lines of code again and again for a particular functionality? No, like, so answer will be definitely no, because reading so huge test case will be very tough and boring, and you also need lot of time, right, to analyze the entire code. So that is the reason, right, we cannot create our code, right, in our own way. Instead of that, we need to use some proper framework, proper structure, proper process, proper guideline, right, all the way. It will help us, like, not only to create the framework from the scratch. Apart from that, maybe sometime after 6 months you are again no need to review the code. You will not able to understand unless you are following some protocols or standard or guideline. Or in case new person is coming, some other person from the other team is trying to review the code. So unless you are maintaining proper the guideline, it will be very tough for them also, a new person to cope up with the thing whatever we have written and helping you out. So automation, primarily in the automation world, it does not matter what tool, what technology you are working. You might work in the Selenium, you might work in the Playwright, you might work in the Cypress, right, or you might work in the other tools. But always the framework concept will remain same for the automation and testing principles. Okay, so there are a couple of framework, like starting with the modular driven framework, then data driven testing framework, keyword driven framework, hybrid testing framework, TDD, test data driven development framework, and the last one is the BDD, behavior driven development framework. These are the couple of important framework like you will be seeing or using in your real time project. So just need to get some idea what are all those framework. You'll be slowly learning all the framework in the next three session. Okay, so Starting with modular driven framework is nothing but like it will try to create the framework module wise. And data driven framework is like our main approach will be to varying the data. Maybe we can have same test cases, but we will try to execute the same test with different variation of the data. And data might be kept in some external sources. It can be Excel sheet, it can be CSV file, it can be database, like anything. And keyword driven framework primarily, like we will try to execute our test case through keyword or accents. Okay, and hybrid is nothing but it's a combination of data driven and keyword driven. So it is a combination. We can try to execute the same test case with different variation of the data, and apart from that we can try to develop the test case with the help of the keyword or actions. And BDD is completely different one, right? Behavior driven development, where we'll be having our different features, like different scenario and given when, then all this stuff will be learning in the upcoming session. You don't need to worry about that. So what are the key advantage for which we are using a test automation framework? The first one is it will save times and maintain schedule. Without the framework, it is very tough like to develop or to create a proper like suit, right? So automation testing is faster in execution and definitely help to maintain overall project timeline. Reusability of the code, create one time and execute multiple time with less or no maintenance. So why? Because in case suppose I will be using calling that reusable component n number of time, in case I need to update it, I will just only update in the component or the method wherever I have written, and automatically everywhere wherever is being called it will be updated automatically. Easy for compatible testing. So in case I want to execute the same thing in the different operating system, different browser, so it is very easy for the compatible testing for the browser level as well as the operating system level. Same test case we can run it like you already seen in the last session, how we can do the cross browser testing, like a different browser, maybe Chrome, Firefox, Edge. Even we can do the testing in different platform also, like Mac, Windows, or Linux, like that. Low cost maintenance, it is cheaper compared to manual testing in the long run. So that is the reasons we are focusing mostly on the like smoke suit, sanity suit, regression suit, data driven part, right? Yeah, like data creation part, so that like we can develop one and we can run them on regular basis to get the most ROI or return on investment. Reliability, automated testing is more reliable as less manual intervention is required. Because in case you are having 20 members in your team, like couple of member might be junior, they do not have much knowledge on the product or technology or application, so they might miss something. Even our sometimes mind is not working properly, right? We can miss something, but here automation there is no very less chances that you'll miss something. In case your code is perfectly fine, it is reviewed, it is updated, definitely will work as per the expectation. So there is very reliable standpoint is also more reliable than the human intervention. Repetitive multiple execution for the same set of test case, that is the regression or other part. It is most used for regression testing, support execution of repeated test case, right? We can just run it even on the weekend or the night basis. You can get the result on the morning on the like on the weekdays. Minimal manual intervention, test script can be unattended. That part I told, right? Suppose in case you are going out for 2 or 3 hours, you can just start running the script and you can get the result after once you back. So that is the way. Whenever you are not there, you are going for a lunch break, you can try to run the script. So you are not there, but it still can be executed to get the result without any human intervention. Maximum coverage, it helps to increase overall test coverage. So in manual testing, suppose say, or functional testing, say you can only cover a couple of iteration, right, with different variation of the data. Suppose say there's a requirement of 100 variation. Do you really test 100 variation in the real time? No, right? Until it is specifically mentioned. Maybe we can try for 5 different combinations which are very, very important. But through automation, we can write one script and you can still run all the 100 variation. So in case anything is getting failed, you can get to know. So that is the way, like you can give maximum coverage through automation script with minimal investment of the time to certify that there is no breakage, no leakage, no defect is coming from any of the area. Then automation framework concept, like a couple of key parameters, like whenever some automation tester is involved in automation testing project, they need to keep in mind while developing any of the while creating any automation framework from the scratch or like maintaining it, right, in the middle. Okay, so couple of things like handle script and data separately, library, coding standard, extensibility and maintenance, and script or framework versioning. So first one is like handle script and data separately. That is a very, very key important stuff. So in the last session, you already learned, right? We are code is different. You are trying to keep your data different. But today we'll be also doing it very, very on different way. Like we'll not touch the code, we'll be keeping our test data separately in Excel file. So in case you need to update your code, you can just update the code. In case you need to update your test data, you can update in the Excel file. Okay, so automated test scripts should be clearly separated from the input data source. Input data can be there in the XML file, Excel file, flat file, database, etc. So that no modifications are required to the test script whenever data has to be changed for multiple input value. The second one is library. A library should contain all reusable component and external connection such as database, generic function, application function, etc. Software testers should be exposed only to the implemented library and tests should be performed by invoking this library. So sometimes like you do not want to show right whole world what you are developing. So you can keep all this part as a library. Okay. So whenever you will be calling, they will be only called. Coding standard, that part is very very important for any of the automation testing project. What technology, what tool, what framework you are like using, that does not matter. Always the coding standard matters. Okay, because suppose say today you are just joining the project, you cannot do whatever you want to do. No, you need to follow some process standard so that other person can understand your code, review it, give the feedback and update it and merge it right in the real time project. So scripting standards should always be maintained across the test automation framework, which will discourage individual coding practices and help in maintaining code uniformity, which makes it easier for software tester and developer to interpret. Extensibility and maintenance. An ideal test automation framework should steadily support all new enhancements to the software application and allow modification of existing features. Example, a reusable library can be created, which would help in enhancing application feature with minimal effort. Why there? Because suppose say today you are trying to create a maybe 100 test case. Okay. Tomorrow your scope might be increased. Okay, you are like there might be 200 disks, 300 disks, 500 disks. So you should accommodate all the new thing right in your existing framework. And apart from that, your framework should be always updated. Otherwise, like you created a number of test cases, but in case you are not updating your framework on a regular basis, whenever requirement is coming to execute them, it will not work. Why? Because a lot of things get changed, everything is getting failed. So there is no point of automation until you are maintaining it, until your framework is accommodated to any like number of changes, modification, etc. The last one is script or versioning, framework versioning. That is the very very important, because in case like you are working for a big team automation project, maybe 20 member, 30 member, 10 member, 50 member, 100 member also. So everybody will be writing their script, and at the end of the day, you need to merge the code, right? And you need to like update it so that next person will be again next day they can use the updated code like that. And apart from that, suppose in case there is a small team member, right, or maybe two or three member working on the automation project, and like all your code is completed, and today you are reviewing internally or with customer, and say customer given some feedback. Okay, suppose you have developed something, you have given some version called 1.0. Okay, everything is ready, you have showcased to the customer, and customer given some feedback, no, no, this is not the correct one, you need to update it. So after 1 week, you have updated everything and you have changed it to version 1.1. And after that, you are showcasing to customer. Okay, that they say that no, 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 the previous version was correct. Whatever you have given before, that is not the correct one. So what you can do? You can simply switch to the version 1.0 instead of again reverting from version 1.1 like that. So that is the way. In case you are having the version for every minor release, major release, so you can update it from there. In case something got scratched, so your version will be there. You can take that thing from that versions. So that is the way you can always create a base version once your code is stabilized, and from that base version you can work on that. So your base version will always your base, and from the base you can work on the top of that. And anything problem, right, you can always refer to the base version. So that is the way it will help you for the script or framework versioning. What are the type of testing like any automation tool can support, especially whenever we are working, maybe Selenium, Playwright, other tool. Like unit testing, developers sometimes might do smoke testing, integration, functional, keyword driven testing, regression, data driven, and black box testing primarily. Okay, automation testing process. So whenever you are entering in the automation testing world, right, slowly, definitely you will be getting the experience, not at the first day. Okay, so you need to understand couple of stuff. What type of test cases users should pick up to automate? First, you need to consider that what are the test cases will be running more and more to get the more return on investment. Those are the test cases you should pick up. After that, in case your customer say that no, everything pick up, then you need to pick it up. Otherwise, your focus should be always with the sanity or smoke shoot first, after the regression, after that end-to-end build validation shoot, after then test integration part, like that. So users should focus on the test case which should be executed in a repetitive manner, such as regression test case, smoke, sanity test case, etc. First. Okay, after that you can proceed. In case you have the capacity, you have the fund, your customer requirement saying so, like that. What type of test cases users should not pick up to automate? Before picking up the test cases to automate, users should check whether the application is stable or not. So based on this, they do not pick up test cases when AUT or application under test changes frequently, and the test cases which are run rarely, and sometimes test cases which are very complex in nature. If you want to automate, it might take more time than the functional testing. So those are the area like user can consider not to automate. Okay, unless there is a hard and fast rule that you have to automate everything. Okay, now we'll discuss about the automation testing process. There are a couple of steps every automation tester need to follow whenever they are penetrating into the automation world. First one is test tool selection, defining the scope of automation, planning, design and development, test execution and maintenance. Okay, the first one, tool selection. So test tool selection largely depend on the technology the application under test or AOT is built on. So in case you want to do with the web-based application, you can go with Cypress, Playwright, Selenium, like that. In case your requirement is with the Windows-based application, so this part will not support, might be, right. So you can use EFT or Tosca, like that. So that is the way. Okay, so like QTP or EFT does not support Informatica, so QTP cannot be used for testing Informatica application. It is good idea to conduct a proof of concept or POC of tool on the AOT, right? What are the tools supported, whether you are going for the free tool, license tool, right? Whether your tool will be easily integrated with the all the other other tools. So that is the way you need to first do the tool selection. Then define the scope of automation. The scope of automation is the area of AOT or application under test which will be automated. There are a couple of points you need to remember and which will help you to define the scope of automation, like the features that are very important for the business. Those will concentrate first. The scenario which has large amount of data, common functionality across application, technical feasibility, the extent to which business components are reused, the complexity of the test cases, ability to use the same test case for the cross-browser testing. So those are the important like point you need to remember while you are defining the scope of automation. Then you need to proceed. Then we'll be doing planning, design, development. Once all are ready, then we can do first the planning, right? That how many resources will be working, what are the test cases will be automating, right? What is the timeline? What are the other like pros and cons? What are the risk factor? All this stuff we'll be doing as part of the planning. Then we'll start the development, where we will be creating the reusable component, right. We'll be trying to do like as much as possible reusability part, like we will do the data driven testing other part. Okay, and then your design and development will be starting in parallelly, and you need to focus like how many assertion you can do, like how we can do the parallel testing, all this stuff, right. So automation, like during this phase user create an automated strategy and plan which contains like following details, like automated tool selection, framework design and feature, in scope, out of scope for automation, automated test bed preparation, schedule and timeline of scripting and execution, deliverables of automation testing. After that your execution will happen. So once everything is ready, like you can run them, right, maybe on small phase wise. And once your small phase work, like your code is fine, then you can run on the the maximum test case, you can pick it up, and you can try to execute it with attended or unattended phase. Maybe you can try to run on the week nightly basis from different system, from different operating system, like that. So automation script are executed during this phase. The script need to need input test data before they are set to run. Once executed, they provide detailed test report. Execution can be performed using the automation tool directly or through the test management tool, which will invoke the test automation tool. Like quality center is the test management tool, suppose say, which in turns it will invoke UFT for execution of automation script. Script can be executed in single machine or group of machine. The execution can be done through the night or weekend to save the time and cost. The last one is test automation maintenance approach. So today you have like design 1000 test cases, all the thing implemented. But in case you are not mentoring, then there is a big zero on the automation part. Because whenever you want to run them, actually until you are doing the maintenance properly, like your nothing will be running, everything will be failing. Because in the real time, whenever you need to run, you will be getting only 1 day, 2 day, 1 week, 2 week maximum time. Within that time, you need to run it. But in case your test your effort gone in fixing the part, right? Then how will run it? So that is the main motto of the automation testing. That maybe within minimal time we can try to run all the tests, because we can generate the report, we can share the report to the stakeholder. That is the important reason. Test automation maintenance approach is an automation testing phase carried out to test whether the new functionality added to the software are working fine or not. Maintenance in automation testing is executed when new automation scripts are added and need to be reviewed and maintained in order to improve the effectiveness of automation script with each successive release cycle. Okay, so that are the important stuff I have covered so far. So any questions or doubt, I will give a break. So these are mostly theoretical part, but this concept is really matters. Until you are having this concept properly cleared, it will be very tough for you to start your automation framework journey. What I already mentioned, right? Because interviewer will be asking all this concept, right? So this concept is very you need to be clear. Then this is the very important questions. My might be interviewer will be asking most of the time. I could say that. Okay. So like you already learned Java OOPS. So what is Java OOPS and why you are using the Java OOPS in the real-time automation framework for Selenium with Java? That is the simple question they will be asking. So you need to trying to present with some real-time example. That OOPS is nothing the object-oriented programming structure, Java support object-oriented programming structure, and all the OOPS concept, whatever we have learned, we mostly used in the Selenium test automation framework. Like there are four OOPS concept like inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. We'll start with the abstraction. Okay, what is abstraction? Abstraction is the property by virtue of which only the essential details are displayed to the user. Right? We are hiding the details. Okay, the trivial or the non-essential unit are not displayed to the user. In Java, abstraction is achieved by interfaces and abstract classes. User can achieve 100% abstraction using interfaces. In Selenium, WebDriver itself acts as an interface. Right? WebDriver divert equal to new Chrome driver. Apart from that, JavaScript executor, right, text screenshot, all are interface through which you will not be knowing what is the way it is developed, but you are able to get all the method, you can use it as and when required. So user initialize the Chrome browser using Selenium WebDriver. It means they are creating a reference variable driver of the interface WebDriver and creating an object. Here WebDriver is the interface and Chrome driver is a class. User can apply data abstraction in Selenium framework by using page object model design pattern as well. Okay, they can define all locator and their method in the page class. User can use this locator in their test, but they cannot see the implementation by their underlying method. So user only show the locator in the test but hide the implementation. This is a simple example of how user can use data abstraction and in the in the especially Selenium automation framework. So it is data hiding. Abstraction is data hiding. And this is the important thing. One is the page object model part I already given, and apart from that, like an interface like WebDriver interface, text screenshot, like all the interface you already learned so far. Okay, JavaScript user, that is the example of data abstraction. Then we'll be learning about the encapsulation. So here it is hiding of the data, right? Data abstraction, but it is encapsulation hiding the implementation details, right? What is the way it is there? Sorry, it is hiding the data, and here it is like wrapping up the data under a single unit. Okay, so encapsulation is the defined as a wrapping up of data under a single unit, just like capsule. Multiple ingredients can be right added in a single capsule. So it is mechanism that binds together code and data in the it manipulates. Encapsulation can be achieved by declaring all the variable in the class as private and writing public method in the class to set and get the value of the variable. All the classes in any automation framework are the example of encapsulation. In page object model, like maybe I'll be covering or I'll be giving some video, you can understand that there is a something at the rate find by will be there. So user declare the data member using at the rate find by, and initialization of the data member will be done using constructor to utilize those in the method. So that is the example of encapsulation. So in specially you need to either use page object model or page factory model, then you will be using at the rate find by. That is the example. So once you go through this video or the document, then you can understand clearly. Inheritance part in the real-time framework, or maybe you are already seeing as of now, right? We can create a base class. Okay. Why? Because all the important details will be keeping in our base class. So that in case something need to change, I can change only in the base class. After that, all the pages class, I will be extending the base class. So that base class will be treated as a parent and other pages class will be treated as a child. Right? So inheritance is the mechanism in Java by which one class, child or subclass, is allowed to inherit the features, not features nothing but the field and method from another class, which is parent class or the base class. User can apply inheritance and automation framework by creating a base class to initialize the WebDriver interface, browser, all the wait mechanism, report, logger, its logging functionality, etc. And then they can extend this base class and its method in other classes like test or utilities. This is the simple example of how user can apply inheritance in their framework. The last one is polymorphism. So poly means many and morphism many forms. So many form. So there are two types. One is the method overloading. One is the method overriding. Right. One is your compile time polymorphism. One is runtime. Compile time is method overloading, and runtime is method overriding. So what is overloading? Overloading means same method. I am trying to use it in different way by changing the number of argument or type of argument. Right. So the word polymorphism means having many form. Polymorphism allows user to perform a single action in different way. In Java, polymorphism can be achieved by two ways: method overloading and method overriding. Method overloading, I told. Method overriding means in case in the parent and child two class you are having same method. So your parent class will override your child. Your child class will override your parent class, and your child class will take the precedence. So that is the method overriding. Now let's understand the method overloading. When there are multiple methods with same name but different parameter, then these methods are said to be overloaded. Method can be overloaded by varying number of argument or and changing the type of argument. In Selenium automation, implicit wait is example, right? Where you are trying to use second, minutes, hour, day, all this stuff. Apart from that, you are using say like select by index, right? Select by whenever you are selecting a drop down, right? You are selecting by index, you are selecting by value, right, all the way. Or whenever you are selecting any a locator like diver.find element, by.id, name, class name, css, all these parts, so all are nothing but the method overloading. Whenever you are navigating to a frame, you are giving the frame index or frame reference or frame name or id, so that are also a method overloading. So you are already know, but you need to just understand it clarity so that you can clearly explain them. The next one is method overriding. It occurs when a derived class has a definition for one of the member functions of the base class. That base function is said to be overridden. In Selenium automation, method overriding ensures that different browser configure can be handled dynamically. Suppose say I already having my base class where I have defined everything, especially for the Chrome browser, because I want to execute by default as a Chrome. But maybe for a particular class, I want to execute in Firefox browser, say. So I need to override as a Firefox from the Chrome default one only for the particular class. So I am not taking the default one, I am overriding. Apart from that, I am giving a simple example. So in the base class level, you have given some implicit timeout as maybe 20 seconds. So you know that maybe all the application, whatever you are testing, it might take 20 seconds maximum. So it is hold good. But maybe only for one or two pages, it might take 1 minute time to load. So only those page level part I can give implicit time to 1 minute, so that it will override 20 seconds to 1 minute, because the class level will take the precedence. Because those specific page it might take more time. So only for those two pages I can override the time, implicit time, so it will work. It will just override the parent class and it will take the value from the child class. So that is the example of method overriding and overloading. So you have already learned the four concept of OPS concept of Java and how those four concept you can use in the real-time framework. That is very, very critical. Most of the time, interviewer might ask the question. Now, I will try to explain couple of important framework in the automation framework, like 10 automation framework which are mostly used in the automation world. Apart from that, there are other framework is already there. You need to worry about that. Okay, like that robot, WebDriver IO, Citrus, Playwright, Test Cafe. Okay, Cypress, Selenium, Cucumber, APM, and Mocha. Okay, these are the important framework you'll be using not only for Selenium, or not only for Java, maybe other framework, API automation, or maybe with the JavaScript, TypeScript, all these part. Okay, so these are the important framework. Or Python language, C# language like that. Okay, so robot framework. Primarily in case you are using with Selenium with Python, then you need to use the robot framework. So robot framework is the best choice in case user want to use a Python test framework, automation framework for their test automation effort. The robot framework is Python based, but user can also use Jython, right? Java and Python combination. Okay, the robot framework uses a keyword driven approach to make test easy to create robot framework to create robot framework can also test like the data like a database part like MongoDB, FTP, Android, APM and more. It has test library including the Selenium WebDriver library and other useful tool. It has a lot of API to help make it extensible as possible. The keyword approach used by robot framework is great for tester who is already familiar with other vendor based keyword driven test tool, making the transition to open source much easier for them. Then in case you already had the tool called WebDriver IO, right? So it is primarily web-based tool. Okay, again web application like tool like Selenium, Playwright, Cypress, WebDriver IO also like couple of like project used. So WebDriver IO is an automation test framework based on Node.js. So in case you want to use like JavaScript or TypeScript, you need to use that Node.js and npm. Okay, and test cafe also you can use there, and your tools will be your ID will be mostly VS Code like that. Okay, so you already know couple of like ID. So in case you are working with Java, Selenium, you can use like Eclipse or IntelliJ. Okay, in case you are using mostly JavaScript or base thing, right? You can use VS Code. Okay, in case you are using say C sharp application, right, or C has, you can use Visual Studio. Okay, okay. In case you are using Python based, like you can use Pynet, right, like that. So that is the way. There are a lot of ID available, especially specific to your programming language and the like tools you are using. Okay, so WebDriver IO is an automation test framework based in Node.js. It has an integrated test runner, and you can run automation test for web application as well as native mobile app. Also, it can run both on the WebDriver protocol and Chrome DevStream protocol, making it efficient for both Selenium WebDriver based cross-browser testing or Chromium based automation. As WebDriver IO is an open source again, you can get a bunch of plugin for your automation need like video setup wizard, WDIO setup wizard makes the setup simple and easy. The next one is Citrus. Especially in case you want to deal with like SOAP based or REST based like API, then you can use that Citrus. So this is the very most powerful tool primarily for the API related part. So Citrus is open source framework with which user can automate integration test for any messaging protocol or data format. For any kind of messaging transport like REST, HTTP, SOAP, or GMS, Citrus framework will be suited for test messaging integration. If user need to interact with the user interface and then verify a backend process, user can integrate Citrus with Selenium for Selenium. For instance, in case user want to click on a send email button and verify on the backend that the email was received, Citrus can receive this email or the GMS communication triggered by the UI and verify the backend result all in one test. So that is the reason Citrus is very, very important framework sometimes like user can use. Just you need to you can understand right now you like you cannot learn all this stuff, but so get some idea so that you can later you can focus on learning some of the other framework. Playwright. Nowadays Playwright is competitor to Selenium. Okay, with some added features, but still Selenium is like dominating the market. Okay, but Playwright nowadays is coming as a competitor to Selenium. with some additional thing, right? It supports three important browser like Chromium, Firefox, WebKit. It runs in different platform like just Mac, Linux, Windows. It supports different programming language like Java, TypeScript, JavaScript, C Sharp, Python also. Okay, it's auto retry mechanism already implemented. It has a lot of locator strategy apart from these 8 locators available in Selenium. So that is the reason powerful also is a very demanding tool, especially for the web based testing. And Playwright supports API automation as well along with UI automation. Then Test Cafe is a Node.js based testing framework that requires no browser driver, offering fast and reliable test automation for web application. It supports JavaScript and TypeScript, automated waiting and smart assertion query mechanism and parallel testing and multiple browser is also possible with the Testcafe easily. So in case in the real time, later point of time, like you'll be learning JavaScript or TypeScript, and in case you want to work with like Cypress or Playwright, right? Definitely Testcafe will be very good framework to use. Okay, Cypress is again for web-based application. It supports only JavaScript, not TypeScript also. That is the thing. Cypress supports only one programming language is JavaScript. Okay, support does not support Java, Python, TypeScript also. Okay, so Cypress is a developer-centric test automation framework that makes the test-driven development or TDD a reality for developer. Its design principle was to be able to package and bundle everything together to make the entire end-to-end testing experience pleasant and simple. Cypress has a different architecture than Selenium. While Selenium WebDriver runs remotely outside the browser, Cypress runs inside of it. This approach helps in understanding everything that happens inside and outside the browser to deliver more consistent result. It does not require user to deal with object serialization or over-the-wire protocols while giving you native access to every object. So Cypress not only used by the testing team, it also used by the developer also, because Cypress is very easy to write the code, and if you type something, it will give you suggestion all the way, right? So that is the way Cypress also pays. But the problem is that all the things you cannot automate using Cypress, right? It only support only one programming language. Okay, so every tool is having some good advantage and limitation. So in case you start working, right, or you are doing some POC, then you need to understand all the tools, pros and cons. What is the free tool? What is the license tool? Then you can select the tool properly. It is not always that you have to always select the Selenium tool. But in case you are knowing one tool, one technology, one framework properly, you can learn the other tools, other technology, other framework very easily. Because like all are coming with the mostly same approach. One tool is having more advantage, one tool is having some drawback like that, but you can override with other integration point. Okay, then Selenium you already learned, right? It's again for support multiple browser, multiple programming language like parallel testing, right? It's inbuilt thing like testng also help, right? All the stuff. Cucumber will be learning slowly in the last session. So it's a like again especially for the BDD, behavior driven development centering project, right? You can use Cucumber. Again, Cucumber support different language like Python, PHP, Perl, Groovy. Like here in Cucumber, not only tester, your developer, product owner, Scrum Master, all the way they can also contribute for the BDD Cucumber project. And report generation also very easy. Okay, and Cucumber is like whatever your features or script will be writing is very plain and simple language English like Jarkin language will be using, and will be using the like the test script in the given when then format, right? And the code can be used together with other framework like Selenium, Waitier, Capybara, etc. Then APM, mostly you know that APM primarily deal with the mobile automation, like in case you want to perform the mobile automation like Android or iOS based mobile automation, you can do it. So APM is an open source UI automation framework that supports native mobile application automation. With APM one can test Android, iOS and Windows SDK native mobile apps. APM has a good GUI that helps inspect and efficiently write the code. APM is an open source library saving cost for the license. APM support multiple programming language like Ruby, C Sharp, Python, Java, PHP, etc. APM support cloud-based testing such as browser stack, right, etc. Then last one is Mocha. Okay, Mocha is a flexible and feature-rich JavaScript test framework running on Node.js. So whenever there's a JavaScript of TypeScript based, all will be running in Node.js only. But the what is the major advantage in Mocha? It is having primarily Cypress. You'll be using that one, right? That Mocha, because in Mocha already in case you already having some knowledge in the Postman, right? You already know, right? There is a chai assertion libraries there, like using which you can integrate with Postman and you can add the validation point in the test script, right? So it is already having the inbuilt chai assertion library. So all the assertion you can use it using that framework itself because all are integrated. Okay. So it is often used for backend and front-end testing and works seamlessly with assertion library like chai. It is JavaScript test framework for Node.js and support asynchronous testing using async or await and provide flexible and accurate reporting. Okay, so these are the important framework. I have tried to list it down. There are other lot of framework is there. Okay, so that you can learn, but these are the very important framework nowadays demanded in the market. Okay, any questions? Okay, then we'll be discussing with the specific Selenium centric framework. Why framework is required in Selenium? Whatever as of now discussed mostly with all the tools. Okay, whatever tools you are working, it can work, especially for the UI automation. Selenium framework is a code structure that is used to make code maintenance simpler and readability better. It helps in dividing the entire code into smaller part of the codes and systematic way which test a particular functionality. Without framework at starting, like user had written complete code and data in the same place that are neither usable nor readable. But using Selenium framework, we can create the structure of code in better way. We can keep test data separate from the actual test case, which help to analyze and update data easily. It increases code readability, helps to get the desired result in a systematic way, and reduces skip maintenance cost. Again, I told, like without framework, you can have like maybe million line of code, and at later point of time, if you want to understand the failure, it is not possible, right, to go through all the code again and again and again. But instead of that, you are using proper framework structure layout, right? You can go to the particular file, particular folder, you can just try to find the problem and you can try to fix it very easily. Okay, then we have already discussed about the couple of framework like modular driven, data driven, keyword driven, hybrid, BDD. Let's start with the modular driven. We'll not implementing it, we'll be implementing data driven, keyword and hybrid only, and BDD. Okay, modular, just the starting part. So modular driven framework is an approach to test automation that divides an application into smaller, independent, usable modules. Each module has its own test script, which can then be combined hierarchically to create larger, more comprehensive tests. This method simplifies debugging, reduces cost, redundancy, and makes maintenance easier as changes only require updating the specific module affected. What are the pros? Or the advantages, modular driven framework ensures the division of script that leads to easier maintenance and scalability. User can write independent test script. Cons, the modular driven framework requires additional time in analyzing the test cases and identifying the usable flow. That is the reasons, like very limited scope is there for the modular driven framework. But next four, data driven, keyword, hybrid, BDD, all will be using in your real time. Sometimes maybe your requirement is to go with only data driven testing. Why? Because your objective is to create multiple data. Sometimes you need to work on the keyword, but in case you want the combination, then you can use hybrid, keyword plus data driven. And in case you want to go with the other approach like BDD, then you can also use it. So BDD is mostly different than these three framework. So data driven framework in Selenium is a technique of separating data set from the actual test cases or code. Since the test case is separated from the test data set, user can easily modify the test cases of a particular functionality without making changes to the code. Data-driven framework used to drive test case and shoot from an external data feed. The data feed can be any data sheet, like it can be Excel file, XLX file, or CSV file. Say user has to modify the code for login functionality. So they can modify just the login function instead of having to modify any other feature dependent on the same code. So this is the diagram. Let's try to understand. Okay. So your automation script will be there, which will be interacting with application and which will be interacting with your data source. Data source can be Excel file, CSV, or database. Okay, and both way communication. Your script will communicate with the data source to get the data and also to update the data in this Excel file, CSV, or database. So in the data driven framework, test data and code are stored separately, and then automation test script is connected with test data stored in an external file. So this example will demonstrate, right, or demonstrating how to read the data from the Excel file and perform data-driven testing using Selenium. WebDriver does not directly support data reading of Excel file. Therefore, we need to add dependency. So that is the reason I told, right? The Selenium cannot act alone to all that thing. So you're having some dependency, like testng dependency you already learned. In case you would require to headless browser testing, you need to add other dependency. But in case you want to interact with the Excel sheet, you need to add the dependency from the Apache POI. Okay, especially dealing with the Excel sheet to reading or writing the data. So we'll be learning it today. What are the advantages of data-driven framework? Why data-driven framework is important? It reduces the cost of adding new tests and changing them when your business rule change. This is done by creating parameter for different scenario using data sets that same code can run against. They help to identify test data, what data is important for tester behavior. By separating first class scenario data into parameter, it becomes clear what matter most to the test. What are the key advantage? It allows testing of the application multiple set of data values during regression testing. Suppose say today you have developed a test cases and you are running only for one thing. Tomorrow you can run for n number of thing, right? Suppose say, just giving a basic example, Amazon say. Okay, maybe initially when Amazon like came into the market, maybe they are only focusing the electronics good, might be, right? Right. But now suppose that they any the brand tried to expand it, so they are trying to come with some cosmetics. They are trying to come with the race. Like tomorrow they can go with the other part, right? You can go with your even your daily grocery part in the Amazon. So day by day, based on the requirement, based on the business, they can try to add n number of things, right, to grow their business. So that part also can be supported. So same way approach they might work, but with different variation from the data. So suppose that today you are developing like one test case with 10 data, tomorrow it can be 100 data. But in same way you need to write the thing that so 100 thing also will be accommodated in your framework. It separates the test data sheet from the executable test script. It allows reusing of actions and functional in different tests. Generate test data automatically. Okay, this is very helpful. Suppose in case you want to create 100 data, like it will, you can just run it one by one, so it will increase your some like unique number. Okay, and that will be your identifier. Okay, suppose say you need to fill the student information in the school, right? So what you will be doing, you'll be filling the student information. Today roll number will be generated automatically based on the class number 1 2 3 4 5 6 like that. So that is the way your student roll number is the ID which will be generating automatically. It should be unique also. So that is called test data part. Okay, it allows execution of test cases several times, which will help to reduce test case and script. It does not let change in the test script affecting the test data. By incorporating data-driven testing using Selenium, tester can refine their test cases for more efficient execution. This shortened timelines makes their life easier and result in more thoroughly tested and better quality software. Now, like you'll be learning what are the key disadvantages. So everything in the real time, right, or in the world, having some pros and cons or advantage or disadvantage or like merit and demerit. Okay. So there are a couple of disadvantages there. Okay. For any most of the framework, right, the main disadvantage is that like you would need to require to invest more time during the starting part. You will not be getting any benefit until you are completely developing it and you are trying to accommodate more test cases. That is the more major disadvantage for any kind of framework. Second is you would require the like skilled associate or resources to like work with that, and those resources should be adequate with the skill, proper skill, right? In case your framework is Java, they would require the Java knowledge. In case the requirement is the Python, they should require the Python knowledge. So significant effort is needed to set up the framework upfront, create the test data files, and build the integration between the test script and data before any testing can begin. Creating and maintaining data-driven framework require tester with advanced technical skill and expertise in scripting language and other libraries. The quality of the testing is heavily dependent on the skill of the automation team. If the automation team lack expertise, the framework is effectiveness will suffer. For every test case, user need many data files according to the number of screen being accessed. User may have many data inputs and may require many verification. Hence, test case be need to keep data files in different directories. Script can become sometimes become more and complex in nature, so making maintenance might be challenging and time consuming. The logic can be difficult for other to understand sometime as well. The modular nature of the framework requires extensive documentation to ensure all team member can understand the structure of the workflow, right? Otherwise they can try to develop the thing by their own. No, it cannot be there, right? So they need to follow it, so that you need to document it, so that they can go through the document and they can try to do it. Now let's understand the real-time implementation of this stuff, whatever we have learned, primarily for the data-driven testing. Okay, so let's go to the Eclipse. Okay, in the session 9, you already learned in the testng what is the way we can try to read the data from the external data provider part. So this is your test cases. Say, okay, say you are opening the Facebook page. Okay, here, and you want to enter multiple different value, username, password, and you can click on the login button. You validate that your password or thing is happening successfully or not. That is your requirement. Okay, so in case you are not using the logic, so you need to have the same test case again, copy it and in number of time, and you need to pass the different variation. So today suppose say some email id got changed, locator got changed, so you need to update in 100 script. That is the reason we are using data driven approach, so that we'll be writing the test case once and we'll pass that data n number of times. So in case we need to update, we'll just update only one test case. So that is the stuff we have did. We have learned in the last session. So you could see we have used data provider. We have created a method, right? And we are trying to pass some username password. We're trying to open the Chrome browser, maximizing, we are launching the Facebook page. We are identifying the email and password field, and we are trying to give the value from the data provider. We are printing it, we are quitting it. And data provider, what we have did, like we have created an object where we have given that row and column. Row is number of iteration, columns is number of field like user is interacting. Now, in case your row is 3, so you have tried to give the 3 different variation of the data. Okay, for the username and password field, and we're returning the data, and that data we are just placing in the Excel sheet here, test case. So now if you run it, either from the testng.xml file or the class level, it will run, and it will try to see that same test case will be executed 3 times for 3 different variations of the data. Okay, okay. But now what we are doing, we are keeping our test case and test data same way, like same file, or maybe in the test script itself, but we are not maintaining something outside or separating, right? Suppose tomorrow you need to change it for 4 iterations. So you could see here, you need to change it to 4. After that, you need to change it to again like that way. You need to add the data, like, so it might be little bit difficult. Okay, see here. So in case you are doing any mistake, it might be problem, right? It might be difficult. Okay, so let's type that code and let's run it again. So tomorrow, like you need to run for 2 instead of 4. So you need to remove the data like 2 or comment out. So that might be little bit tedious job, and sometime might be difficult, or sometime might be like error prone. Like some defect error might be there in the script. So now what we'll be doing, we'll be keeping our script and data differently. So that in case I need to update only my data, I will just update the external data source where data is kept. In case I want to update my script, I will only update my script. So that is our objective. Now let's understand. Now our objective is to like read the data from the Excel sheet today, and reading and writing I'll be covering in the next session. Okay. So first thing is that you need to add these two Maven dependency. One is POI from the Apache. This is the POI. Okay. And one is poi-ooxml. These two dependencies you need to add, because all the important classes, interface function for reading and writing from the Excel sheet will be coming from the POI, Apache POI. Okay, like this one is first one is the POI and second one is the poi-ooxml. Do not concentrate on the other POI. Only Apache POI common and Apache poi-ooxml. So this is the POI and this is the poi-ooxml. So if you click here, and same version, please be remember the same version. Okay, latest version is available right here. Okay, it's came here like 5.5.0. You can take that key and you can just take it, and similarly for poi-ooxml also. So I have already taken, if I go here, I already taken one version. You can update it also, pom.xml, and you need to add these two dependency, poi and poi-ooxml. So this is the two dependency you need to add it. I have added 5.4.1. You can update it also, latest one, whatever came into the market. After you update and save it, so automatically your all the py related dependency will be added to your project. That is the first thing. Okay. The second thing, you need to create a Excel. Okay, you can go to any drive or any folder and you can give it some name and extension. You can give it .xlsx, means 2007 and what all the file Excel file extension is .xlsx. You can give some name, right? I have given something called Facebook login credential, or maybe Facebook test data. You can give it anything, any name, and extension should be always .xlsx. Okay, properties, you could see .xlsx extension. Sorry, yeah, not yeah. Select this one, right click and go to the properties. You could see this is the file. It is already placed in my D drive and Selenium is the folder, like it .xls name of the file, like that. Okay, and it's like editable. Now open this file and you can have n number of sheet here, and after that you can add the data. So I am just getting two column, one is for username and one is for password. So you could see, so you can write one data, and after that you can, if you want to update it only, just you can drag and drop like different variation. Okay, or tomorrow if you want to remove something, you can just simply remove it, right? If you want to add something, you can just simply add it here. So no need to change anything. You no need to understand, right, how many data you are giving. So no need to update like your row and column, all this part. Just simply update it. And in same Excel sheet, you have n number of tab, right? So that in case you are having other disks, you can try to read it from here. Other different part. In case you are having other combination, you can read it from here. And you can write the data also here also, right? Other column. That is also possible. So all this part will be learning here. Okay, so that is the thing you need to do. So how will be reading the Excel sheet? First, let's forget about everything Selenium, Java, all this stuff. What is the approach? First, you need to go to the path of the Excel sheet. This is the path. I'll go first. After that, I'll go to the sheet name. So once I go to the D drive Selenium folder, I can get my sheet name called Facebook test data.xlsx file. That is the second step. After that, what I need to do, I need to go to the which sheet or tab my data I want to read it, right? That is my third step. Then fourth step, I want to understand what row I'll be referring. Fourth step. Fifth step, what column? That means row and column means cell. What cell I'll be interacting? So that is my last step. I want to interact with from the cell. So that is the way I can try to interact from the Excel sheet. So you need to understand this concept. First, you'll go to the path of the Excel sheet. Then you will go to the Excel sheet name, along with the extension. Then you'll be coming to the tab or sheet here. Then you'll be coming to the row, and then this is called cell for row and column. Then I'll be reading this data like user one. Okay. Now what I'll be doing? I'll be creating a one more. Okay. one more class where we'll be creating all our important, okay, all our important methods, and then we'll try to update it here. Okay, so let's save it here for now. Okay, now let's go to the Eclipse. Let's try to create a class, normal class. Okay, say read data from Excel. Okay, so that you can understand easily, or read Excel data, anything you can do it. No need to select public static void main. Click on finish. Okay, now here you can define some global variable, because whenever we want to read the Excel, we need to read the workbook and worksheet, right? So there is a class available from the Apache PY, XSF workbook, XSSF workbook. I can create a variable called workbook, or you can give any variable name, or WB, anything you can give. So you need to import it. XSF workbook. You could see we are trying to import from the org.apachepy.xsf.user model. So all will be coming from the Apache PY. Then XSF sheet. I can give the variable name called sheet. So similarly, I need to import it again. Now here, what I'll do, I'll be creating a constructor. I can create a method as well. There is no harm. But what is the difference between constructor and method? In case you are creating constructor, as and when you are creating the object, automatically your constructor will be called. So you don't need to create the object and again call the method. That is the beauty of the constructor. So in the real-time framework, we'll be creating a constructor. So what is the way you can do it? Constructor, we can give the access modifier called public, right? No return type and same name as the class name. That is the index. And here I can pass some variable, right? String file path, because this what file path I want to refer it. I just given it. Okay, this is the constructor syntax without a return type, right? And same name as the class name. So in the constructor, what I will do, I will try to read the file. So I'll be creating the object of the file class, file equal to new file. And here I'll be just giving the variable, right? This file path, or you can give anything, Excel path, any other stuff, or test data file path, like the variable name, argument name, you can give it. So we need to import the file from the java.io package, right? Once you get the file, so you already see file input stream, file add output stream, all this part, right? Class from the java.io package. So file input stream primarily used to read the file. So I'll be using file input stream. So all the thing you already learned. In case you forget it, just revise that part. Input stream. I can create a variable called fis equal to new file input stream. I need to import the, and I need to provide the file information here. So I need to import that one. Okay, then I need to also surround with some try catch block. Okay, now here this part we can remove it for now. And here, okay, after we go to the file and then we are coming to the file input stream. Okay, and here what we can do, we can from the file input stream we can came to the file. Now what we can do, we can try to go to the workbook, right? File means the path and the file. Now I can go to the workbook here, right? So what we can do, we already created workbook equal to workbook. So I can use this same one, like one here, workbook equal to new workbook. But this part I can remove it because you already defined as a variable. Let's remove this one. Workbook equal to new workbook, where you can pass it the FIs. Now again you could see some error message coming, so you need to surround with some try catch block again. Uh, Try catch block. So now your thing will be work. This is the first constructor created to go to the file path and to read the file, which is nothing but here the Excel file, right? Facebook test data dot xlsx. Now this is part is created, one constructor created. Now we'll be creating a other method to get the cell value. How we can get the cell value? So you already came here. Now you can open it. We can go to the seat either through seat index or seat name. So today I'll be learning with seat index. Next time I'll be learning with the seat name. Because in case you are having 100 seats, it is not possible to go with index 0 to 1 to 3 like that. But in case you are having small seat, you can go with seat index. Because seat name should be always unique. You cannot make it duplicate, right? It is not possible. Okay, you could see it is not allowing. So that is the way it is. Okay, allowing. So indexing will be 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. So what I'll be doing, I want to go to the seed index, then row and column. Then I'll be getting my cell value. Okay. So I'll be creating a method here, public access modifier, always give it. Do not give the return type for now. Okay, give this a method name called get data, get test data. And here you can pass some argument. First one is like integer seed number, comma integer row, comma integer column. Okay. Do not give the return type. Okay. We already came here till the workbook. Now we want to came to the seat. So what is the way you can get it? Workbook variable name dot press dot, and you could see there is a get seat add methods available. Get seat add, and you can give the seat index. What is the index? Is seat number, because you are giving is variable, and whenever you are calling, you can give the actual value. Okay. Now you are coming here and you can call this variable, right? Seat, whatever already declared. This one you can associate it. From using this method, you are getting the seat actually. Okay. Now you already came to the seat here. So take this variable and there is a method available called get row. For every row, you can get it. Okay, you could see get row and you can give the variable row dot get cell for every cell. Okay, here you can give that column value dot get string cell value. That is the way you can get the actual value. Get string cell value. Return type is, you could see, string, right? It is type is string, so I can store in some string. Say data. That's all. Then I'm returning it. I can return it. Data. That's all. Now what I'm returning? Returning data. What is data? Data is string. So that string I can return in the method. That's all. Error message gone. So that is the way you need to write the method. So this is the one constructor, one method I have written. The last method I need to write it here. Now I already able to understand, right? Read the data. Next method is that I need to understand what I'll be reading the row wise. I'll be reading all the row where data is not there. No, I'll be reading the row where data is there only. So this row I'll be reading. Okay, so I want to get the row count where data is available. I want to read. So that is the last method I'll be creating. So again, public access modifier. Do not give the row count or return type. Just get something called get row data row count where data is available. And here also again we can pass something called integer seat number or no or seat number, any other variable. It is fine because it is in the other method, right? There is no problem at all. Now here what we'll be doing, we'll be going to the workbook variable here. That is the reason we have defined globally, right? Dot get seat at, okay, because we can need to go to the seat here, seat number variable dot. There is a method called get last row number, right? You could see it is coming from the XSF return type is integer, through which you can get like where seat number like is there. I want to read it. So integer, you can give some variable one row. You are getting the row value. Now what you are doing it? You are iterating it row equal to row plus one by one. Like you want to understand how many row data is available after iterating one by one. and now you are returning row. That's all. Now what you are returning? Row. What is row? Row is integer. Now you can keep it here. That's all. So this is the three method we have written. Okay. Now from this one we will try to implement it here, update it. So we are not updating our script. We are not touching here anything. No, we are not touching. This will be fixed part. So what will be updating it? We'll be updating couple of parts. So this part is not required. Okay, this part is not required because we are trying to read the data from the Excel sheet. Source, uh, add block, comment, commenting out. I'm not removing it, just commenting out. Okay. So here, what are the way I am just changing it? Object data. So before that, what I'll be doing, I'll be creating a first object for the class. So let's take that class reference first and create an object, whatever way you can give it, like object or config file, anything you can give it equal to new class. And where you need to pass, right? You could see this is the constructor you have created where I need to pass the file path. So what is the file path? Where it is placed? This one, take it. This is the file path. First give it within the double quote. Then slash slash file name dot xlsx file. Right? That's all. We've created the variable. Okay, from this class. Now, first, what you need to understand from this object, we'll call the method last one. Right? That how many row I need to iterate it. So, what I'll be doing, I'll be calling that object whatever I've created. I'll be calling the method whatever I already written dot get row count, right? Where I can pass the this one, right? I can pass the seed number is 0 because we know that in the first seed we are trying to automate. What is the return type? Return type is integer, so I can pass it integer return type and I can get some variable called rows because it will be giving multiple rows. That's all. Second step. Now third step, we are doing the same way. We are not removing anything here. Okay, and here the row part, because that is dynamic, right? I can update it to the row variable. That's all. Okay, this is the third part done. Now I'll be iterating the row from the 0 to less than rows. So I'll be using for loop integer I equal to 0, I less than rows variable, whatever you already there, I plus plus. That's all. Okay. Now what we will be doing? The data variable. Here I can give the row number as I because we are changing it, and column number is here 0 only because that is the first column I want to interact, which is nothing but the email ID equal to your object whatever you created for the Excel sheet dot other method whatever you created, right? Guess test data, right? You could see here you need to give three object, right? Rows. Okay. Your rows will be your yeah, sorry, your sheet will be 0, and row here will be I variable because you are iterating it, and it will be 0 for the first column. Okay, that's all. And now it will be second column. Here it will be I and it will be 1. Again it will be your seed number will be 0, it will be I only, and it will be 1. That's all. Now let's save it. That's all. Otherwise no need to change anything. Otherwise same. Now your code is done. Now let's try to run it. You could see your data will be taking from the Excel sheet. Okay, for reading the data, you can either open or close it, that's fine, but always try to close all the Excel sheet. Otherwise, sometimes it gets some error. Okay, you could see now your execution done for 6 iteration. Okay, so we are not touching our code. And next time, suppose you want to update your test script, you don't need to touch any of the code. Simply you go here, Excel sheet, right? Let's remove three data. That's all. And save it and close it. That's all. Now run it. Now see, instead of 3 iteration, it will try to run only for 3 iteration. That is the beauty. Your test case and your data is keeping completely separated. You don't need to touch anything. Okay, you could see three execution done. Username one, password one, two, three, like that combination. Now again, day after tomorrow, you need to add couple of data. Instead of 3 iteration, you need to run for 8 iteration. So what you can do, you can just do it. 8 iteration. Just does that it. That's all. And if you want to do for other one, you can add the data in the other tabs, right? As and when required. Okay, that's all. Okay, now 8 iteration will run. So we are not touching our code. That is the beauty of the data-driven framework. Your data and your test case will be keeping like separately, and you need not to touch anything on the other one. Now I will explain the code once more time so that you can get the complete idea. So forget about the code. Let's try to understand the how is the Excel file I can read it. So first you need to go to the path wherever you are keeping it. That is the first thing with the file class. So you're getting the path and the Excel name. Then with the help of the file input stream, you are trying to read it. Okay, that is the one. After that, you need to understand in your Excel file how many row is there with the data and what you want to read it. So that is the way you are getting the row count actually. And third one, after that you are already go to the Excel sheet. Now you are going to the Excel exact tab name, right, or sheet number, then your row, and then your column. That is the way you are getting the cell value. So this is the three method we have written. One is constructor we have written. Why we are creating the constructor? So that automatically, as and when you are creating the object, automatically the constructor should be invoked. And we have given to this global variable for workbook and sheet, so that I can read in any method. So this is the first constructor I am creating without return type, and here I am passing only the file path, means the path of the file along with the name of the file with the extension. And we are reading it with the help of the file class and file input stream. After that, I'm creating a method to get the data where I am. My parameter is my seed number. It will be 0 in the index because first seed we are concentrating. We can read also the seed name also. Okay, so that part will be learning in the next session. And row and column. For every row, every column, like we're getting the data. And the last method we have written that how many rows data is there so that I can read all this data instead of going to the blank cell. Wherever there is a blank cell, I don't want to read it. I'm creating the object or instance for this class, so automatically my constructor will be invoked. Now with the help of the object, I want to understand how many row data is there, and I'm trying to map it here, and I'm iterating it. I like equal to 0 to less than rows because it's starting with 0, and then I'm trying to map it. I iteration and 0 is the first column, like where I'm trying to map it, and I want column 1 means the second column password field. That's all. Then I'm trying to just run it. Okay, so let's me explain the stuff one more time, and after that, in case you are having any questions, I'll be discussing. So what like you already learned about automation framework. So automation framework is nothing but a structured set of guideline, tool, and practice that provides systematic approach for creating, executing, and maintaining automation test cases. So your answer will be that it's not a single tool. It is a combination of tools, guideline, and practice which are creating our framework. Okay. So without framework, your life will be very tough. But in case you are using framework, it will be very easy for a group of people and for single person as well. Okay, there are a couple of framework available like modular driven, data driven, keyword, hybrid, test data driven development, TDD and BDD. Framework is having a lot of advantage. It saves time, maintains schedule, reduces of the code, easy reporting, like compatible testing also help. Maintenance cost also low. Reliability is more than the manual intervention, right? Without manual intervention, we can get maximum coverage. We can repeat the same thing again and again and again, like without any manual intervention. Okay. So whenever you are trying to like consider on the automation framework, like you need to think that how we can handle the test script and data separately, how we can use the library, how we can maintain the coding standard, how you can easily your framework can support additional coverage, additional test case, and how you can maintain it easily. How you can also use the version controlling to help your framework more better. So like starting with unit testing, smoke, integration, functional, black box, data driven, regression, keyword driven, all the things can be supported in the automation framework. So in the automation framework, your objective would be always to figure out what you can run it more way, repetitive manner. That is the reason your focus will be smoke, sanity, regression, data, like data creation part, all this stuff. And wherever is more complex in nature will be executed only little made. Those part you can avoid it unless there is a hard and fast rule to automate it. Right? There are 5 step process you need to follow. First, selecting the tools, then defining the scope of automation, then planning, design, development, then execution, and then maintenance. Okay, the 4 important pillar of Java ops concept, like abstraction, like encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism, like you can understand from here whatever covered, that what are the thing you are using it. Abstraction, right, is data hiding, whenever you are creating the object, for instance, for the interfaces you already using like WebDriver, JavaScript executor, right, text printer, all these per interface you are creating the object. Okay, encapsulation is nothing but the wrapping the data together. Okay, here you will be, whenever you will be using that page object model, patch vector model, you will be using at that find by. So that is the way you can do it. Inheritance, again, whenever you will be creating the framework, you will be creating a base class, and the base class you can extend in the page class. That is the concept of inheritance. And polymorphism, there are 2 part: method overloading, method overriding. Method overloading already seen, like divert dot find element, by dot name class, all this stuff. Implicit time, right, second, minute, hour. Method overriding, suppose in case you are creating something at the parent class, but if you want to override child class, you can do it like that. Some implicit time or some browser specific configuration setup for all this part, you can override at the child class level or the page class level. Important framework, for different tools, technology is there, right? Different programming language is there, like C has sharp, like Java, JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, or sometime mobile automation, sometime API automation. A lot of framework is there to supporting this, like robot, WebDriver, IO, Citrus, Playwright, Testcafe, Cypress, Selenium, Cucumber, APM, and Mocha. Okay, there are other frameworks there, but this is the more common framework we mostly used it. Okay, framework also required in the Selenium, so that like we can get the less maintenance effort, more reusability, right? So that is the, it will help us. So modular driven framework is nothing but where we'll be just following the modular approach or the component approach. So there is some pros and cons. And data driven framework, we are just trying to keep our data separated from the test cases. We can keep the data in the external sources like Excel file, CSV, or database. But if you want to interact with the data driven frameworks, like you need to take the like Apache POI dependency first, through which you'll be able to read and write the data from the Excel file. The different framework is definitely a lot of advantages. So the same thing you can run, same test cases you can run different based on the data, right? You can keep your data and code separately, you can generate some report automatically. Later point of time you can add some more test cases or test data variation in the database framework. But some disadvantage also there, right? Your significant effort you need to spend first initially for the developing framework. You require good skill set people, right? The quality of the teams, right? Or sometimes complex scenario might be problem. So these are the different feedbacks there. So these are the two dependency, POI and POI, like other XML part, and this is the part we have can implement it, and we can create a other class separately to handle all this part. Okay, so that is the way. Today you have learned how to read the data from the Excel sheet, and next session you will be learning how to read and write simultaneously from the Excel sheet data, and you will be learning the keyword and hybrid framework. So hybrid is nothing but a combination of keyword and data driven part, and keyword is nothing, you are trying to execute test case based on the keyword or actions. And the 12th session you will be learning the BDD with Cucumber from the scratch. Okay, so that's all from today's session, guys. Thank you.